The song Rhiannon, written by Stevie Nicks, performed by Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac, is probably one of the most famous hypersigils that there is out there. I have a whole series about hypersigils. This is the next one in the series. If you don't know, the condensed version of a hypersigil is somebody or something putting their intention into a work of art. This could be a painting, or it could be a TV show, a song, anything creative. You can consciously put your intention into that thing or unconsciously do it, be influenced by spirit. And there are a lot of them about. Grant Morrison is a famous, or semi-famous you could say, in the occult world, guy who wrote a whole book about it. Grant Morrison is an occultist. He's also a comic book artist, and he explained the theory of hypersigils, especially around the comic book world, and how it's pretty prevalent. They are the mythologies of the modern day, you could say. But it isn't just about comic books, and it isn't just about characters. It's about meaning and intention. A sigil in the magical world is a symbol that we put our intention in, unique to us, we create. It's a magic spell. It's something that we weave together. So a hypersigil is that, I suppose, on steroids. It is that times a million. It's putting something out there that we weave together, whether it's knowingly or not, to the masses, to other people to consume, to witness, to feed into that energy and make it more potent. That's why hypersigils can be so powerful. And this is a good example of one. This song is really famous, and if you're a witch, of course you'll know about Fleetwood Mac. Stevie herself got a lot of a reputation, you could say, about being a witch. She was into this sort of thing. It's not confirmed that she ever was a true witch, but what's a witch anyways? What's it matter? The song, however, is an interesting one, and we're going to delve into it today. Obviously, there is a goddess called Rhiannon, and we're going to look into if she inspired the song, and if so, how. What was it about? Let's get into it. If you're new here, hello, I'm Sarah, that divination witch. Welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. This channel is a safe space and witchy community. If you want to join, hit subscribe. Everyone's welcome here. Feel free to ask questions, because nothing's silly. We don't judge here, okay? And if you want to support me or the channel further, I do offer readings. It's all linked below. I've got a website, Etsy. I've also got Patreon. And on Patreon this year, 2025, at time of filming, we're going through the year of the Dark Goddess. And that's us exploring each month a different archetype of the Dark Feminine to help us step into our power. So if you're interested in it, go have a look. Right, so I have my notes up beside me. Stevie Nicks, we love her here. I love Stevie Nicks. She was one of the front people of the band Fleetwood Mac, singer, songwriter. Apparently she's been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice. Apparently the first female to achieve that. Well done, Stevie Nicks. She's still about, she's still kicking, she's still doing her thing. She is very talented, even at, I think she's in her 70s, maybe 80s, I don't know off the top of my head. But she's very, very, very talented, and I love her. And she wrote this song with her ex, Mick Fleetwood. And when she wrote this song, back in the 70s, she wasn't actually inspired by the goddess Rhiannon. Although it's obvious that Rhiannon is woven into this song, Nicks didn't know who she was. So, who is Rhiannon? Well, actually, no. What was her inspiration then? if her inspiration was not Rhiannon, what was Stevie Nicks' inspiration? Well, there was another book published in the 70s, which you can still get now, and I've had a look. And it's blooming expensive to get a copy. If you've got a copy, keep that, because that'll be worth something, right? It's called Triad. Let me read a forum post I found about it. I'll put it on the screen and we'll read it together. But the synopsis before I read this is essentially a woman called Branwen, which is another Welsh name. She dies or something, and she comes back as her estranged cousin, Rhiannon. It's kind of like a possession. Let's read this. So, after the cot death of their son Timmy, professional book reviewer, aspiring children's author Branwen Eriksson and her husband Alan, a civil engineer, move into a huge rundown mansion overlooking Lake Michigan. The challenging renovating of the small property, at least providing a small distraction from the tragedy. The couple is still young, and Branwen is determined to become a mother, with Alan working away on the dam project for weeks at a time, and no great social skills. Her only real company is provided by the versatile housekeeper Millie Kern and her faithful pooch Lance. It isn't long before even they are looking at her a bit funny. There have been... Branwen's publishers reject her vault standard misspelled review of Dr. Rubin's Everything You Could Ever Want to Know About Sex, a book she's never read, let alone written a critique of. And when she visits her friend at the library to query whether she'd borrowed a copy, her reception is frosty. The librarian assures her that she did loan it very recently, and she was even wearing the same dress. And there have been many such unexplained events of late. Branwen is losing several days' sleep, and awakening to find furniture rearranged. There's another bizarre instance, recently decorated kitchen, repainted in garish orange. And then there are creepy voices, but at least David's a little happier. Last night he returned home unexpectedly to find her on the bed in a sheer black negligee. And insisting on calling her Rhiannon. She's never been exactly sexy during the entire relationship. Bit disappointing. When he mentions it to her afterward, she's clearly got no memory of the event, but the name Rhiannon rings some bells with her. It was the name for her perfect cousin, 4 years her senior, who died several years ago. At the tender age of 13, that's a bit weird, Rhiannon was a very beautiful, very sadistic little bully, and the textbook psychopath tendencies who seemed twisted everyone around her little finger. People remarked how the pair looked alike, which made Rhiannon despise Branwen even more. Rhiannon died during a game of hide and seek. She squeezed herself into the old freezer in the cellar after another of her twisted animal torturing pranks. Before she went off re-enter her dead kitten. Ew. Branwen slammed down the lid on her, the lock broke, and now it seems Rhiannon's back and Branwen's pregnant. But is Alan the father? And perhaps the most disturbing question of all, is Branwen the mother? Blah, 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 blah. Well, so it seems a very freaky book, okay? When I was looking it up, obviously I haven't read it because it's so expensive, and plus I don't think I would want to read it having read that. But looking it up, it said something for fans of The Exorcist, so it was clearly Pulp Fiction around that time period, stuff like that. And this is what Stevie Nicks had read and was inspired by this particular book. So this woman, Branwen, is possessed by her dead cousin, and it seems a bit freaky to me. Not the possession, but the age of the dead cousin and the sadisticness of the dead cousin. The Goddess Rhiannon is not sadistic like that. Trust me on that. But interesting, because there's an interview, and I'm going to put it on the screen, where Nick says She didn't even know who Rhiannon was at first, like the goddess Rhiannon.
Rhiannon was not written about the mythological Mabinogion from Wales. She was written about a name that came up in a book that I read that somebody gave me, a little paperback novel that was called Triad. You can trace it down and find it. There was 2 women in it. They were named Rhiannon and Branwen. So this story truly is, when everybody wants to say, oh, you write premonitions, you have premonitions. I don't think that I consciously have premonitions, but I do seem to have some sort of a psychic knowledge of what's going to happen in the future. The whole thing about the birds and the sky and all this is all intricately woven through the myth. So I always think it's pretty interesting when I listen to it or when I play it that I had no idea about any of this when I wrote it. I just thought it was a really beautiful name, and I thought if I ever have a little girl, maybe I'll name her Rhiannon, or, and that's really what I took to the piano to write the song.
So, who is the goddess Rhiannon? Well, the goddess Rhiannon, let me just get my notes out. I did a little synopsis. So she is a prominent figure in the Mabinogion. The Mabinogion is Welsh mythologies that were... It's meant to be the oldest recorded literature or something like that. I don't know the exact way to put that, but it's medieval, it's very ancient, and Rhiannon is a figure within the Mabinogion, and she is now said to be a goddess, but in the Mabinogion some people say she's not a goddess, she is basically like an otherworldly woman, but she is associated with sovereignty, fertility, freedom, and the other world. I have actually spoken with the spirit of Rhiannon for other people, and I've got a video on my other playlist if you want to go back, Deities and Spirits I've Met. She, to me, does manifest as a beautiful blonde lady. I normally see her as blonde. She does have a horse with her, and it's normally a case of she is free, and she represents that breaking chains kind of thing, independence, especially for females. Not that she doesn't like males, don't get me wrong, but it's very much the feminine energy. She is somebody who is said to be a protector of women and children, and she is said to be from the other world, which I suppose it's similar in Irish myth to figures a bit like the Morrigan in a way. I would say how the Morrigan or Ain, that maybe the Ain is better comparison. Ain is another goddess of fertility, love and stuff, but she's linked with the She, which is the Irish name for fairies essentially, and the other world. And I know in a lot of Celtic beliefs, the other world is where not just the dead went, but the She live, the Fae, all of that. So yeah, Rhiannon is from that world, and as a result, she is also a bit of a psychopomp. Psychopomp, if you don't know, if you're not part of the witchy circles here, a psychopomp is the fairy men or fairy people of the dead. Hecate does this. I suppose it's your Grim Reaper type figure. Angel Azrael, Angel Gabriel does this as well. It's the people that come for you when you die and guide you to where you need to go. Okay, so she is a figure of that as well. Now, in the Mabinogion, she is depicted as a queen of the other world, and she's normally pretty mysterious. She goes through different stories in the Mabinogion, and one, she is, let's say, accused of something very sick, and something that Medea in Greek myth is accused of, and it makes me feel like there's something there between Medea and Rhiannon. Maybe it's a common motive, it's a common storytelling device, let's say, with these mythological ladies. But yeah, she is said to do some awful things, let's say, but then it's found out that she didn't do those things, so she's wrongfully accused of stuff. She is linked a lot with spirituality, self-growth, witchcraft. And in modern times, a lot of people do know her, follow her. Even not just witches, but Wiccans do as well. She's very popular in neo-paganism movements. And she is a goddess of sovereignty, like I say. So she helps you through your spiritual journey, finding your power, reclaiming your power, breaking free of chains. That's the vibe of Rhiannon. Some of her symbols, so of course she's linked with horses usually, because she's usually depicted with a horse, and she usually comes along with a horse as well. And that is kind of like Hecate and the dogs, okay, if you know anything about Hecate. It's her animal companion, and it helps ferry the souls to where they need to be, on the other side. She's also linked with birds as well, and her birds, I think there's a few stories of that too, where they are said to have magical powers. They sing magical songs, and they can help, like, awaken the dead. They can help people be hypnotized, that kind of thing. It's like a Sleeping Beauty vibe with the birds. She's linked with the moon because of the feminine energy, and because the moon is mystical, it's linked with magic, things like that. She's linked with gates as well. It's because of one of the Mabinogion stories to do with her. But the gates, it's like Hecate and keys. It's that psychopomp thing. So Hecate, my goddess, is linked with keys because they open doors. That could be literally to the other side. It could be figuratively. It could be knowledge. It's just like this with Rhiannon, except it's a gateway through. She guides you through the gateway to where you need to be, figuratively and literally. So she does have a lot of different symbolisms and a lot of different qualities about her, and she is pretty an ancient goddess basically. And therefore, with all of this in mind, it would not shock me if she subconsciously inspired Stevie Nicks. If you think about Stevie Nicks, it's kind of like a domino effect. Stevie Nicks was inspired by this Triad book, which was clearly inspired by Rhiannon. Now, I've never read the Triad book, obviously just read what we've read there, but Rhiannon was vindicated and accused of things that were sick. So if that character, Rhiannon, is doing sick things, it is a bit of an inspiration there. It really is. There could be more to it, but at the very least, it's like a domino effect, okay? Now, I can't obviously play the song. Look it up if you've never listened to it. Look it up. But let's go through some of the lyrics. So, Rhiannon rings like a bell through the night. Wouldn't you love to love her? Takes to the sky like a bird in flight. Who will be her lover? Now, to me, the bird, straight away, it's Goddess Rhiannon. Ringing as a bell through the night. It's the lunar energy because it's the night when Rhiannon would appear. When the bell tolls, that is a symbol for death, essentially, for something mysterious ringing out from the other side. This is the way I'm taking it. Obviously, other people, this song's pretty old, so there'll be other people who have their takes on things. But I truly feel like, yep, Rhiannon's in that. All your life you've never seen a woman taken by the wind. Would you stay if she promised you heaven, and will you ever win? So you could say Goddess Rhiannon, okay, woman taken by the wind. She is mysterious if she's coming in on a horse and it's like, where's she come from, sort of thing. She's just this phantom figure. And from the description of this triad book as well. If it is a spirit possessing this woman, it's like, oh, mysterious, taken by the wind. If she promises you heaven. So again, this Triad book, it seems like this spirit was promising things to the husband or something. Like, if, how do I put this? If you want to stay with that unknowingly because it's false promises sort of thing, because it feels better, it feels good, would you do it? And I feel like the goddess Rhiannon in her stories as well, it's, if you are promised certain things by her, would you believe her? It's that whole, the nasty thing she was accused of. Do you believe that she didn't do it? Or do you think she did do it? That's the way I see it anyways. So she is like a cat in the dark, and she is the darkness. She rules her life like a fine skylark, and when the sky is starless. And Stevie, I remember reading something that she kept saying something about the Welsh witch, and I feel like it was a character she created here. So witches in general are kind of known to shapeshift and stuff. And obviously cats traditionally are a witch's familiar. And I feel like it is Stevie creating this character, yes. But the goddess Rhiannon and her symbols, who is to say that Rhiannon didn't put that in her mind, you know, this witchy Welsh psychopomp, otherworldly goddess figure that is represented by these mysterious birds and is represented by the liminal spaces and mysterious things. Who is to say that this isn't the case? Now, it's all very mystical and mysterious. Obviously, the lyrics repeat, but there's things near the end where she says, taken by the sky, dreams unwind, love's a state of mind. And that's the mysterious energy of Rhiannon. Also, with the promise to heaven, I forgot to say last time too, the fact that she is going to take you to the other world, you know, is she promising you heaven? Will you ever win? You know, are you going to go to heaven? Are you believing her? Are you going to a nice place or not, you know? But yeah, the dreams unwind, love's a state of mind. It's all mysterious. It's all enigmatic. And that's who and what Rhiannon is a goddess. She is a liminal goddess. She is powerful, a psychopomp in her own right. And you can see that even if it wasn't a direct influence from Rhiannon knowingly, because clearly Stevie Nicks didn't know at first, she has since accepted that. I found a website, which I'll put on the screen. I don't know if it seems a bit old, but it doesn't matter. This website was a fan site, and it explained that Stevie was going to be doing some project around the mythology of the goddess Rhiannon. And to me as well, if I'm quite honest, especially when Stevie was younger, she looks quite similar to her, to how Rhiannon manifests to me and how a lot of other people see her. The beautiful blonde hair, you know, the mysterious figure, you know, how she would wear her flowing dresses when she performed and things like this. She still does. It's very witchy, very Rhiannon. And you can see why as well. Stevie got the reputation of being a witch, you know. There are other songs that I know she wrote with Fleetwood Mac and her solo career that are very witchcraft inspired. There's one I love because it's my namesake as well, isn't it? Sarah. Sarah was her witch's name. That I don't think that's why I'm called Sarah, by the way. But yeah, that's just my name. My parents decided to call me that. But yeah, that's it. That is a hypersigil in itself. So that is an example of somebody unconsciously channeling a higher power. Rhiannon has gotten a message through the song. You know, she has made herself known through the song, through the subconscious mind, which would make sense if she is indeed this liminal space, psychopomp, sovereignty, feminine goddess that deals with witchcraft and things like this. Of course, it's going to make sense that she is going to tap into the subconscious mind, and this is why I'm doing this series, showing you the different examples of hypersigils. They can be something mainstream, they can be conscious, and they can be subconscious as well. I have one that has personally came to me, and I'm saving it for a bit later, that I didn't even realise. It was like, wow, okay, yes, makes sense. The other side uses art to express themselves to us. That's why it's important for us to think a bit analytically. Sometimes, I say this with dreams as well, like sometimes a dream's a dream, sometimes a TV show is a TV show, but sometimes there's a bit more to it, you know. And it's going to be lost to some people, but to others that are meant to know, you'll see it. And this is where we get messages from the other side, especially in this day and age. And I feel this is why I'm called to talk more about it. We can't always trust the mainstream news, but there's other ways of messages getting through. Okay? So, yeah, if you have any other things you want me to talk about, is if there's a song, TV show, movie, book, anything creative, if there's something like this that you've noticed you want me to talk about, I'm more than happy to. Like I said at the beginning of the video, Grant Morrison, I'm sure I mentioned him, but I'll mention him again. Grant Morrison, he is an occultist and a comic book artist, and he picked up on this, and he's wrote a book about it. Go check it out if you want to learn more, because the comic book world is the most obvious example of this, you could say, because it's basically the modern day mythologies, but it's more than just that. Okay, so I hope you found this interesting. Love, Stevie Nicks here, love Fleetwood Mac, and that's about it for now. If you liked it, you know what to do. Go check out my other hypersigil videos. I also educate a lot on the channel about the occult, paganism, spiritual stuff, all that jazz. You may as well hit subscribe. And until next time, stay safe, stay witchy. Bye-bye.